Well, good Monday evening, everyone. Welcome to Bowling with the Fef, a platform for you to share your unique bowling story, all live on our YouTube channel. If you're interested in finding out more about our show, we have a public Facebook page. Just search Bowling with the Fef. And if you'd like to come on, we're always looking for guests. Just email me, bowlingwiththefef@yahoo.com, or you can DM me on Facebook, and we will work a time to get you onto the schedule. It's been a real crazy month over the past month with some great guests. I hope you've had a chance to take a look and see some of the best competitors in women's bowling from the PWBA. Congrats, of course, to Dasha for winning the PWBA Twin Cities Open. She really lit them up in the stepladder if you hadn't seen, and it's wow, what a great accomplishment for her to get through a tough field and a tough collection of players in the stepladder finals for the PWBA. And congrats to everyone who participated and is moving on to the next. I believe the next tournament is in Lincoln, Nebraska. So again, congratulations to those athletes and the PWBA for putting on what by all accounts was a spectacular event in Eagan, Minnesota. And this week we are heading from Minnesota back across the border to Wisconsin, the Milwaukee area more specifically, where Bluemound Bowl has been just, a legendary bowling center in that town for more than 60 years, we're talking. And we can't talk about Bluemound Bowl without talking to the proprietor, Hank Posnanski Jr. from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hank, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Fef. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Hank was challenged by Bob Greenfield in one of our earlier episodes. So I guess we've got to start there. You tell us about your friendship with Greenie and where that's gone over the years, really.
Well, it's hard not to be friends with Bob. He's a very easygoing, looks at life in a great way. So he's a pleasure to be around. And just met him. I think I was probably 16. He was 18, I believe. I watched him bowl the state match, and he won. And just the way he carried himself, it's so cool. That's why I started talking to him, became friends. And I believe 1985 or 86, we started bowling together. And I've just been bowling ever since. He's a great teammate, a good guy, and someone that'll do anything for you. Keeps you laughing. He's a very, very funny guy. And his uncle is Shecky Green. So Bob thinks he's funnier than Shecky. I don't think so, but
we'll have to. I guess the jury's going to stay out on that one if
right.
If it's 1-1 there.
Right.
Like I said, Bluemound Bowl, a constant in the Milwaukee bowling community. That signature, blue colored building with the dome. What does Bluemound Bowl mean to you after all this time?
Family and friends, family especially. Bowling's a huge part of my family. My dad, when he was in the service, he was a bowler. They had a Quonset hut on an island in the Aleutian Islands on Altua, I believe, and he won the championship one week, the island championship, and he told everyone, come to Milwaukee and come to Hank's Lanes. So eventually he was a Golden Guernsey milkman and ice cream man and owned his own distributorship. And the bowling alley came available in 1972. I come from a family of 12. We're at the kitchen table one day, and my dad said he came home from, we're like 10 of us at the table maybe, and he says, I bought a bowling alley today. Yeah.
How's that for dinner conversation?
Well, my heart sank. I'm like, what? You sold the ice cream truck? Come on. But he's always wanted it, and it's been in my family. I grew up there. I was 10 years old when he purchased it, and I started bowling right away and started working there when I was 13. And just the people I met, at one time, 3 of my sisters worked there, 4 of my brothers. So we all worked there for a while. Right now, 2 of my kids work there for me, and it's or with me, I should say, not for me, with me. But it's just a family. We do our Christmas there. Our Christmas, we have like 65, 70 people show up, just my immediate family. And we do Christmas there in the cocktail lounge. We deck it out really nice at Christmas time. It's a family-friendly place. To me, it's home.
Yeah. This picture that we're looking at right now, how far back would you say that was?
I would say that'd be 1968, because the city of Brookfield made us take down that clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were building it as Brookfield's biggest clock, and for some reason, the city of Brookfield made us take it down. Then 25 years later, they made us take that sign down.
Oh,
and we fought them for 17 years trying to keep that sign up. But they changed the zoning. They changed everything. There were open neon letters. It was probably a safety issue that they made it come down, because it's right there in the parking lot. People are walking around it and stuff. So, but yeah, it's in the 60s, late 60s.
Okay. All right. Bowling, of course, has had plenty of changes and since that time, and we'll discuss all of that. I want to talk about, I guess, how you've handled the center during the pandemic. It's obviously a tough time for bowling-related businesses. Some of them across the country have not survived the pandemic, yet Bluemound Bowl lives on. How have you done it?
Well, it's like I said, the family working. We came in every day in the pandemic, and we cleaned, painted everything. I had Gus Unaris and a couple other bowlers come in, and mainly Gus, and painted some walls and cleaned it up, freshened it up, washed everything. We try to keep everything fresh, sanitize everything, hand sanitizer, sanitize the tables, the bowling balls. Try to do all that. And we've always been kind of a clean place anyway, so people weren't shying away from us because it always was a clean place. But being family helps. We also have another bowling center, New Berlin Bowl and Ale House, on Moreland Road in Cleveland, in New Berlin. My brother runs that, and we're able to work off that a little bit, help each other out. During the pandemic, when you're closed, there's not much you can do. But if he overbooks something, we can work him over to our place, and we were able to work together on some stuff. And loyalty, customer loyalty, it's a big thing.
There's something about, like you keep saying, a family center, a family-owned small business. And in bowling in Milwaukee, there's been lots of them. You think of Strakota, you think of Petrov and Kuglich. My first, time in the sport was at Hadler Lanes, another family-owned business. What is it about that family-owned business, that family nature of the bowling center, that is just so special, that will always be a different kind of special than a bigger corporate-owned center?
I think it's just a hands-on. You can come talk to me, or talk to my daughter, or talk to my son, and we care. We don't want you to be angry. We don't want you to be upset. Corporate centers like, yeah, well, what are you going to do? That's how it is. That's what corporate says. We got to do it, and we do it. It's a little bit different in a family business. You can be a little bit more lenient and, sway things. As my friend Joe Olivo says, it's good to be on my team because I make the rules.
Yep.
So, but it's better with a family business. You could just hands-on. You tell me something's broke, I'll go fix it. Towels out in the men's room, I'll go change it. Whatever's got to be done, that's what family businesses do. And we're more hands-on. I think we always try to be around.
Yeah. What I love about your website here is that it says not the proprietor, Hank Posnanski, your host. And it's, and it's been referred to as home of the stars. Is this center just a place that naturally brings that character, or is it something that you have to work at?
I think it's a center itself. It's a old school kind of retro bar area, and it's very nice. And we haven't really fluffed it up very much. It's it's a bowling center, but we're a bowling alley because it's old school. It's kind of just a hands-on, nice, friendly place. And people come there and they've never been there before, and they say what a great time they had. It was, it's just that we try to just be a friendly a friendly place, family friendly. We want everyone to feel good and come back again.
Yeah.
Some people don't. You can't please everybody, but we definitely try to make it a friendly atmosphere, keep it clean and just, lively music. And, sometimes I put Bob Greenfield on the microphone and, he does a little comedy sketch and kind of after bowling, he'll get up there and just say some poetry or something. And, we'll just try to keep it light.
See, you're sucking me right in with that. I would love to hear that. In fact, I asked Greeny about about Bluemound and what it meant to him, since he said it was, he considered it his home house. He said it's special and old school, just like you said. And if the walls could talk, between the great bowlers who have bowled there to the after-bar shenanigans, quite a history. I guess, what's your reaction to hearing, someone like Greeny, I guess really hold it in that high a regard?
Yeah, well, it was, for, like I said, Bob's a historian too and likes the history behind things. And, the bowlers that have bowled at Bluemound, the champions that we've had there, we've had probably 20 to 30 ABC champions bowl in our leagues at Bluemound. It's just, and they all are good people and friendly people. And they'd all come to the bar afterwards and hang out. I mean, there's, sometimes we have a couple crap games going on the pool table after bowling, and certain bowlers would enjoy that. And I wouldn't partake because I don't know the game, but it's if the walls could talk is right, because there are so many great people there, great bowlers, and a lot of them started working for me. I had Dennis Yechter working for me, and Mike Strani, Don Krause, all Milwaukee Bowling Hall of Famers. And then we also had the Bluemound Bowl Pro Shop at the time. That Rich Wonders ran a pro shop for a while. Brian Brazou ran a pro shop. Dennis Yechter, Strani. We had a company called Bowlers World Limited ran it. Jeff Henry and Don Mardak, and there's a lot of people. And it sounds like it was a big interchange, but it was, because you wanted to run a pro shop. Come on and run a pro shop. If you don't want to run it, don't run. We didn't charge rent. It's just something that people wanted to do. We let them do it, and just to keep a friendly atmosphere going. And so a lot of history behind that. A lot of great bowlers worked for me. Jimmy Certain ran a pro shop for quite a few years. He taught me a lot about bowling. So yeah.
I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here. If you could narrow it down to maybe one or two of the best performances you've ever seen at Bluemound Bowl, and we're talking maybe a high series, maybe a tough pattern that someone really did well at, could you do it?
No, there's just so many. I mean, I've watched Eric Fritten shoot 880. I watched a guy named Mark Staslis shoot 869 on a pair that's impossible. He was high bowler by almost 300 pins that night. The lanes were unbelievable. I don't know how he did it. I watched guys like Dick Geppel, older bowler, shoot 784, using a plastic ball. On a night that the lanes were impossible and everyone's complaining, this guy's shooting 780. Just so many.
Yeah, absolutely. I asked Matt Duty about you on Saturday, and it just so happened that you guys were bowling in a tournament at the New Berlin House yesterday. And, when I asked him about you specifically, he said just a good person that I'm happy to call a friend. But he also said that he is definitely for the bowlers. What does that mean to you to hear that from a guy like Matt, but also to do that? What is it like to be for the bowlers?
It's a nice feeling to hear that, because I don't, a lot of times you don't think you're appreciated for things you do. A lot of people don't realize who you go to bat for and how you go to try to keep things the way it is. And I definitely want to keep bowling going and bowling strong. And I'm definitely for the bowler, youth bowler, adult bowler, senior bowler, whatever you need, whatever you want to do. I want to support. That's a fact. Whatever bowling needs, bowlers need help. Bowlers need support. So I'm there for them.
Yeah. Give me a quick lay of the land, because, like we talked about before the show, I've never been to Bluemound Bowl, embarrassingly enough, as the number of years that I've lived in Milwaukee. But what do people need to know about the center who have never been there before?
It's a nice little family center, 16 lanes, nice big dining area, bar area, wedding hall downstairs, old school, friendly, like I said, family friendly, and you'll have a good time. Nothing. We're not a plaza. We're a bowling center, bowling alley. We're kind of old school, and we try to take it the way it is. And it's a neat layout. The 16 lanes are on the lower level, and then you got like 4 or 5 stairs for another level. Well, actually 6 stairs. So it's nice to watch. A lot of spectators come and watch people bowl, and it's a great view because no one's standing in your way. It's just a unique feel coming in there.
Yeah. That's part of what I love about our sport, is that every place has that kind of uniqueness about it, even though, of course, the dimensions of the lane is the same, the pins weigh about the same, the ball weighs about the same, but each place has its own individual character, which I think is incredible. At some point, you got into the game. You were new to the game. Tell me how your bowling story started, like when and where, and all the circumstances behind it.
Well, like I said, at dinner when my dad said he sold the ice cream truck, we started watching. Then as a kid, I was only 10, and we started watching Bowling with the Champs because now we have a bowling alley. So I loved watching bowling. I went to the plastic pins and the plastic blue ball and would put it in the basement and put Hot Wheel tracks as gutters, and I would bowl in my basement all Sunday after Bowling with the Champs. So I just loved it. I got to bowling, and I think my parents liked it because they knew where I was. Yeah. As the youngest of 12, I think they were kind of, like, hey, what's this one doing? So they knew where I was, and I would sit there and wait for my dad to come home and or leave work, and I would bowl about probably 20 to 40 games a day, just waiting for my dad to get off of work, just goofing around. And then I went to about 60 games a day. Then when I was 13, I shot a 700 at Red Carpet Bolero. And I was, then the next week I shot 745. So I got the AJBC Star of Tomorrow, and I got all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. Yeah. To get medals and things like that, and get recognized in the bowling paper with your picture. And so I kind of, being the youngest of 12, that, hey, I can do something that my brothers and sisters can't really do. So that intrigued me to it. And the sport's so nice and simple. You can any age can do it. It's, you don't have to be muscular. You don't have to be athletic, although I am both muscular and athletic. But it's a fun sport.
Back then, were you in some kind of a junior program, or was that not available to you?
No, it was. I bowled in the junior program at Bluemound Bowl, and then I bowled in the traveling league, which went around to all the different centers. Echo, we went to Echo, and Chris Corners Bowl, and Shirkota Millshore, Shirkota Regent was 8 lanes upstairs, 8 lanes downstairs. That was a cool place. North Central YMCA had 13 lanes. So we traveled around the city on Sunday mornings, bowling all over town, Brown Deer lanes, all over. We'd go bowl Bobby lanes, all these little places we'd go bowl on Sundays. And that helped a lot, too, with learning how to play different shots.
Yeah. Another thing that Greeny told me is that you have one of the most natural, effortless games he has ever seen. He said you're excellent in the clutch, one of the best teammates he's ever had the privilege to bowl with, and also a very generous person. I want to start, unpacking this with that first part. One of the most natural, effortless games I've ever seen. I'm guessing over the years that develops, but how does a person work on something like that?
I think it just came natural. Like I said, I bowled a lot when I was a kid. It got to be 100 games a week I was bowling. And I don't know what people tell me that. I still don't feel comfortable bowling. You might see me bowl and say, wow, that looks, I get nervous when I got a 300 game going. To me, it's still a learning experience. It's still the effortless, Yeah, I thought the least amount of motion you can do will be easier, less mistakes you can make. So I don't like to put that much effort into anything, really.
What about this whole, best teammates I've had the privilege to bowl with? I mean, you've got to, you can't just be a good teammate. You have to work at it, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, you do. You have to learn when not to say something. That's a big thing in our group, especially with Bob talking to me. Bob knows if he comes over to me and I look at him, he'll walk right away. He knows not and you learn that from your teammates. You learn, you support them. You support them. I think of being a good teammate is being a teammate off the lanes. That's where you support your team the best, is where you can be off the lanes and just be part of the life and be a positive part.
Yeah. Is the team game, I guess, something that you enjoy more than bowling individually, or vice versa?
Definitely bowl in the team. It's so much fun winning with other people. It's just someone to share it with. When you win alone, you beat everybody else. No, they're not too happy with you because you beat them. Now, I always thought about surrounding myself with better bowlers than me. Easier to win that way. So I always try to get bowlers that are better than me or equal to me, and I've never had a problem finding people better than me. That's for sure.
Sure. What is it like to grow in the sport when your dad owns the center? I've had a lot of friends who have had that experience. Centers in the family. The immediate thought is, oh, of course they're going to be good. They're going to practice all the time. But I would imagine there's also some pressure there. Oh, he's the son of a proprietor. That means, of course, he's going to be good. What's it like from your perspective?
Yeah, luckily, I didn't think of that much. There was a lot. Other people would tell me, well, I heard this guy say that. I'm like, well, whatever. I mean, you can't control it. It is a lot of pressure. My kids definitely feel it. My parents weren't that good at bowlers. My dad had a 300 game back in New York back in the 50s, and my mom bowled on TV a couple times on the local bowling shows and stuff, but they weren't the greatest bowlers. My dad was a good 200 average. So I didn't have that pressure of following a good bowler, but my kids, they have to not only have their father proprietor, but I'm not a bad bowler. So they really feel the pressure, I think. And then it's interesting that I never really let it affect me subconsciously. Maybe try to be a little bit better because I knew I didn't want to embarrass my dad. Probably I think that might have been it. I didn't want him to hear anybody say, "Well, how come your kid's no good?" But I don't think anyone ever said that, and no one has ever says that to me about my kids. My kids work at their game, and it's nice.
Yeah. The results bear that out. I mean, we're going to talk about that a little later too. But let's get back to kind of your coming up in the sport. Were you a college bowler at all?
No, never went to college. I went on tour, I think, when I was 20 or 21.
Okay.
Part-time on tour, and never really wanted to I never wanted to go to college except to go to a party at Madison, maybe. Yeah, that was about it.
And that's great for those of us who went to college. I mean,
right. But a lot of my friends were collegiate bowlers, but I just never. I always wanted to work in the business and be around bowling. I never wanted to go to be a collegiate bowler, and just having friends that did it and watching them bowling and stuff. That's a lot of dedication to be a collegiate bowler.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's also a lot of dedication to go out on tour, part or full time. Tell me about that decision and why you made it.
Well, I made it because Jimmy Certain told me I should. We were bowling. He goes, you should go out there. You got a good game. I'm like, yeah, I've never given myself credit for my game, I don't think. I've always felt I needed more to work on, and but with his encouragement and Mike Strandy and Dennis Jechter and my dad, especially my dad, was phenomenal. He said, yeah, you should try it. So I went out there, and I was good here. I mean, I thought I was one of the best bowlers around. I just won state doubles and a couple other things, and I thought I was really good. But man, those guys are good. Those guys are. Way better. That's why I'm not on the senior tour right now.
Yeah.
You know, they beat me 30 years ago. Same guys. Why am I going to go out there now?
What years were you out there, and what do you remember most about your experience with the PBA?
I was out there from probably 83 to 89, about 88, maybe 90. When I broke my hand in like 90, 91, that's when I stopped bowling on tour. But the memories are just the bowlers. Earl Anthony, Carmen Silvino, you know, Mark Roth, great guys. Just they were so nice out there, so welcoming to you. I think because they knew I was a donator. If I had won all the time, I don't know if they'd be that nice to me, but they were always nice. You know, Dick Weber was an amazing man. You know, and Pete is really a good guy. Pete's a great guy. Pete Weber and the whole Weber family are really nice people. They are very nice people.
Yeah. That was an interesting time in the sport when you're making the transition from plastic to urethane, and then later to reactive. But tell me about how, you know, you were able to adapt to those changes in the technology of the game.
Well, it helps on tour. You know, the ball reps really do help you. They tell you what's new in the market. They tell you what's working. They really do help. Even though you're not a member, like John Jowdy for Columbia 300, you're not. I wasn't on staff, but he would always come and work with you and tell you what he thought the latest thing would be for you and what you should try to work on and stuff like that. You know, without other people telling me, I don't know if I would have figured it out or not. But you know, the equipment, you just, no matter what, bowling's hitting your target. Whatever is in your hand, urethane, plastic, whatever it is, you got to hit your target.
Yeah. What kind of conditions do you remember facing out there?
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. I remember starting out at 8 o'clock in the morning playing the gutter, and then coming in for that same tournament for the C squad, which bowled at like 9 o'clock at night, and playing 6-0 off the cap on the other side because we didn't re-oil. You bowled on the shot all day. Yeah. And I remember one tournament, John Socha came. I was bowling the World Open in Chicago. And Socha came and was watching, and I got done bowling. Goes, you know, it took me 20 minutes to realize that was you. I've never seen you hook the ball that much. I go, the lanes are hooking. Well, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, brutal conditions. I mean, it really taught you how to think, how to concentrate. You know.
Yeah. When you stopped doing it, what was that like for you?
It was tough. It took me, and I'm not exaggerating, it took me 20 years to watch it on TV again.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't want to watch it. I didn't. I miss it. I miss it. I really wish I could have. I broke my hand cutting a tree as a metal plate and some screws put in my hand. And then I went back to bowling, and we won state tournament, and I broke the metal plate in my hand. Oh. So then they had to do the surgery again and take everything out that they put in. And my hand never came back the same. So I was never able to. So I miss it. I miss the people. You know, I don't know about the grinding and the bowling 54 games a week and, you know, and getting $900 for bowling all week. But it's the people. I miss the good times, the people. And I miss trying to be one of the best, honestly.
Yeah. It's tough to think of Bluemound without thinking of the Hank Marino Tournament, of course, named after a bowling icon who lived in Milwaukee for many years. What should we know about the history of that tournament and how it arrived and really thrived at the center?
Well, it started at Hank Marino Lanes, I believe. Hank Marino started. It was a women's only tournament when it started. And it went to Echo Bowl. I think Hank Marino took it to Echo Bowl. And Hank was hanging around Echo for a while. And had the tournament. And then when Donnie and Krista and Kathy decided to close the place, about a year later, Greenie, of course, everything comes back to Bob Greenfield. Greenie said, hey, why don't you go talk to Donnie about running a Marino? And I'm like, I don't know. I've never ran a tournament. I've never ran a tournament. I don't know what I'm doing. He goes, Donnie's got all the information. So I went and met with Donnie Hildebrand, and asked him about it, and I didn't know if I had to buy it or not because Donnie owned the tournament, and he said, "No, here, please take it, run with it. I hope it works out for you." So we bumped it up to a guaranteed $5,000 for first place. That helped get some teams because it's a guaranteed $1,000 a guy, and it is a handicap tournament, so anyone can bowl it, men, women. It's worked out that way, and we've tried to add a few different things to try to make it easier for the bowler. We had a really tough shot for a while because I thought if I'm guaranteeing $5,000, you should earn it.
Right.
I'm not giving you $5,000. You should earn the $5,000.
Yeah.
But some bowlers don't want to bowl on a tough shot. They want to go have fun, try to shoot 700 if they can, and then come to the bar after. So I softened the shot up a little bit lately, and I have had a little bit more turnout with a little bit softer shot. And just trying to change it up, trying to keep it active. Last year, I let my league bowlers bowl it during league. Your league score, your team's league score could count for the tournament. I'm just trying different things just to try to see what happens and change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
This year, I'm going to add a doubles portion of it, a bowl doubles portion, maybe pay $2,000 for first place, $1,000 a guy maybe.
Yeah.
Just try to keep it going. And there's nothing around Milwaukee hardly to bowl. We used to have the Burt and Eddie's tournament, Doysters. We had all these other tournaments around, the Marble Arcade. We had all these tournaments, and there's nothing anymore. So I'm just trying to keep that alive.
Yeah. Did you ever have the chance to meet Hank while he was still alive?
No, I didn't. Never met Hank. I heard he was a good, funny guy. I heard he was a very good guy from some people. Like I said, we had a lot of people bowl by Bluemound that were early ABC Hall of Famers, and they would talk about Hank quite often.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Definitely, an iconic name and tournament really in the area. You were inducted into the Milwaukee USBC Hall of Fame in 2002 and the Wisconsin State USBC Hall of Fame in 2015. What do you remember about being honored in those ways?
I remember the Milwaukee one with my mom and dad there, and pretty much the whole family. There were like 9 of my brothers and sisters were there, my kids. I remember that as I can't believe I was being honored with some of the bowlers I grew up watching and idolizing. I know that the Milwaukee Journal ran an article about my induction, and I was quoted as saying, "I feel like I don't belong." Look at the names on there. These are guys I idolized growing up, the Pincalas, Don Bartz, who was my dad's partner at the bowling alley for 30 years. He was a great bowler. He won the Peterson. He's in the Wisconsin Hall of Fame and the City Hall of Fame. But I never felt I belonged in there with these guys. It was an honor, a very big honor to be included with guys like that. Hank Marino, Hank Minch. It's amazing names to be involved with. To put yourself there, it just doesn't make sense sometimes.
Yeah, and then the state one, which you could deduce is an even bigger accomplishment because it seems like there are a lot fewer in there.
There are. It was a nice accomplishment. Now they're letting some more people in because the guidelines have gone down. At the time they didn't have a lot of people to let in, so now there's more guys coming up at my age and that have done a lot more. So my biggest thing about being in the State Hall of Fame is I got in before Bob Greenfield.
I
don't let him forget that either. That I didn't make it in before Bob.
If you want to, have a measuring stick, that's a pretty good one to.
I don't know what else to say. I'm in first, and I don't think he liked that. I think it bothered him. So I really enjoy it. It's a big difference.
Yeah,
it was nice. Every once in a while, my speech will come back on Facebook, and I'll watch it again. And that just doing it for my family, doing it for my dad. My dad was a huge supporter of my bowling, and never thought of ever being in the State Hall of Fame. And it's just kind of nice to do it. And have, because I am a junior, so it's nice to have my dad's name in there to honor him, and it's kind of cool. It was a nice feeling. Again, a lot of names in there that I don't belong with, but I'm honored to be in there.
Yeah. What you mentioned your speech. What did you talk about?
I talked about my family, naturally my family, my kids. I did point out that my kids at the time, I said, can you at least listen to me when I give you instructions? I mean, come on. But they do now. They're getting to be good bowlers, so they do listen a little bit. But I just remember just being so overwhelmed, and I didn't write anything out. I just did it all heartfelt, and to honor my dad was a big part of it. And I gave Gus Unaris a kind of hard time. As I said, I roomed with Gus Unaris and Lenny Borsch.
Okay.
We roomed together, and as I said, there's a lot of stories I can't tell about Gus. That was, there's a lot of funny things you could say, but it was just a whole nice dinner. Some of my nieces were there and nephews, and I think 5 or 6 siblings were there, and it was just my kids, my teammates, Bob Greenfield, Joe Olivo, Paul Blamer, Mike Stranny. It was just an accomplishment I never thought would happen. I'm glad it happened before Bob.
Absolutely. You've mentioned that you had history with Mike Stranny, and as we had pointed out on this show, he passed away recently. What made him stand out to you? I mean, a lot of people have talked about his influence on the game. And I believe, this picture is the one that Greeny gave me to use when we talked about him. That's you on the right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
You're going to have to help me here. Greeny, Steve Brinkman, and who's the fifth?
Dave Albrecht.
Okay.
Dave Albrecht, who's been inducted into the State Hall of Fame this weekend, this May coming up.
May. Yeah. So back to Stranny. What did he mean to bowling, not only in Milwaukee, but really across the country?
He was so knowledgeable, and he oiled the lanes for the national tournament for about 20 years, and they didn't tell him how to oil. He developed his shots with them, so it was always he had just a different knowledge level. He was on a different knowledge level, and he was a great bowler too, a great smooth bowler, good teammate. I bowled a lot like him. I think our grip was a lot of the same. We used a lot of the same equipment, so he helped me with my game a lot. Whenever even up until like 5 years ago, if I was struggling, I'd say, Mike, can you watch me? And he would just tell me one thing right off the bat. But he knew so much about lane conditions, how to play the lane, where to move. I mean, he would watch a guy bowl 3 balls before you bowl and say, hey, that guy went high a little bit. You got to move. I mean, he just so knowledgeable of what he was doing. And I remember my biggest memory about it is he came back and told me to put leverage weight in a ball. So, this new thing is out there. It's called leverage weight. You got to do it. I'm like, whatever. He goes, no, I'm telling you. So he drilled me a ball with leverage weight. I shot 800 the first ball. The first time I used it, it was a yellow dot, I think, or might have been an angle, a black angle. But he was on the cutting edge. If he researched something and heard about something and tried it, he was really always looking for the next thing.
Yeah. There was an event at Bluemound after his passing. For those of us who weren't there, what was it like?
It was exactly like Mike would have wanted. Laid back, people just talking stories about him and having a few beers and laughing. And Mike was always just a regular guy. He always wore a sweater and just jeans, and it was never pretentious, never put on airs or anything. It's just a normal guy that didn't, he wasn't too concerned with what people thought. Really, he just lived his life, and he and the people talked about him. It was all heartfelt, what people said. I mean, Mike had a way about him where he would give you a compliment, but not give you a compliment. He was very. We called them Strannyisms. Like he would tell one where that guy missed his mark so far to the right he had to pay rent. Or like the one I like is we're at I don't know where we were, somewhere, and a guy had come up in the match play at the Masters against Brian Voss, Pete Weber, and Walter Ray. So Mike looks and goes, "Who's next? God?" I mean, he always had his little head bob where he'd come forward when he did his little his one-liner. And he was just a unique guy looking at things. I shot 746 at Nationals in 1989, which my high series ever, and I felt great about it. We're at a blues bar somewhere, and he looks at me and goes, "Well, you shot 2 good balls all night." Just he kept you real. He really did. He was just a normal guy. Good guy.
I talked earlier about how I had talked with Matt Duty before, and he also mentioned Dan Doty, who recently passed away and was the owner of Riviera Lanes. What was your relationship like with him?
Very good. We grew up together, bowling anyways. He used to bowl at B&B Bowl, which turned into Riviera. He grew up a couple of houses away from it, so he was a house bowler for there. And he would bowl by us at Bluemound. I would bowl over there at B&B. Good friend, good guy, just a really good guy. Loved life, laughed a lot, loved bowling. Great bowler. I mean, the guy was a great bowler. He left-handed, but he won several state titles, several city titles. Just a very, very good, solid player. And he didn't mind tipping them back after bowling. That's the fact.
Yeah. When I was talking with Duty about it, he mentioned that you two were similar in their bowler bases, in loving them, but in completely different ways. I remember working at a center back in the 90s, and I had a boss who told me, "Listen, our competition isn't the other bowling centers in our area. It's Blockbuster Video. It's other ways that people can be entertained." Is that, I guess, what allows you to have great relationships with the other proprietors near you?
I think so. Right now, with COVID, we started a proprietor support group where we proprietors take teams to other bowling centers. On a Sunday afternoon, when it's a downtime, we'll bring in teams and we'll bowl and drink and have a good time, maybe eat a little bit. We all try to get along. We need to work together. We're all in this together. We need to work together. Like you said, we're not each other's competition. Other things are. Soccer. This past weekend, my open bowling was down Saturday because soccer started in the area. I mean, there's other things involved. We got to work together, and there's so few of us now, individual proprietors. There's Tom Schwagler at Lucky Lanes here in Milwaukee, Gina Durashevsky at Classic, the Doherty family at Riviera, Leanne and Kevin Mayer at Country Lanes. New owners just took it over a few months ago, maybe half a year ago. Gary Durashevsky has a center. Pete Riopol at Village Bowl, Sonneman, Kriegers. We're all they're the only ones left. Like you said, there's no more Petrovs, no more Kugliches, no more Strakotas, and it's we got to work together.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense not to work with each other. Dave Sherbrooke at Highland Lanes. He takes teams to every tournament that someone's running. He'll take teams to it because he's a big supporter of bowling in the area. We have to be. We have to support each other. That's how you survive.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we've got to get to the point where you talk about your kids, because even Matt said he always takes a lot of joy in watching his kids succeed and help with the center. How did they get into and then grow in the sport of bowling?
Well, we'll do it with my son Henry. He was a high school bowler. So he started bowling in high school, and none of my kids really started bowling until they were in their teens. I never really wanted to force it on them. If they wanted to bowl, they could. So I just let them do it on their own, how they wanted to do it. And, Henry had a 300 game in a junior tournament at Classic Lanes at Durashevsky's place on St. Patrick's Day. And my mom had just passed away, and my mom was very Irish. Her maiden name is McFadden. So, that meant so much for that. And then Henry's had a couple more, and he had hip surgery, so he hasn't bowled in a few years. He's kind of trying to come back, but now his other hip's bothering him. So he's only like 26. He's got a couple 800s and 300s and hasn't bowled in a couple years.
Wow.
Then my youngest daughter, Emma, she started in high school bowling too. High school bowling is, that's Emma on my left.
Okay.
And she succeeded in high school bowling. Her team won the state high school team tournament. They won state one year, and I'm telling you, I cried. It's so hard watching my kids bowl. I'm more nervous watching them bowl than I am myself. It's just you want them to succeed so much, and it's nice. And Emma has had 3 300s this year alone, and an 800 this year.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and she she really enjoys it. And my oldest daughter, Fallon, was a fast pitch softball player in high school, and she blew out her shoulder.
Okay.
And when she bowled, she could never control the ball because she had such a speed on it. So during the pandemic, she started bowling left-handed, and she's amazing left-handed. She's like a 165 average right now, left-handed. She had a 600 a couple weeks ago. She's really coming along, and because like you said earlier, she doesn't want people saying, "Oh, your dad owns a bowling alley. How come you can't bowl?"
Right.
So she feels the most pressure, I think, of anyone in the family trying to be a bowler, because she took it up late. She didn't take it up till after high school, and the other two took it up during high school. So it's so much fun. It is amazing bowling with my kids. It is. It doesn't matter how we bowl. I think we all feel pressure. I feel pressure because I don't want to disappoint them and bowl bad. They feel pressure. They don't want to disappoint me and bowl bad. It's and I just love being with them and competing with them. It's kind of a neat feeling to bowl with your family. And when we have a team tournament, I throw Gus Yanaris in there because he's like an uncle to the kids, and Uncle Gus or Papu. So we've won a few tournaments. My children, myself, and Gus. So it's kind of fun bowling like that, and they love bowling. They love it. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, and important to mention, like you said before, you're not one who said this is something you should do or you have to do. They just kind of gravitated toward it on their own, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, they weren't forced into anything. Matter of fact, I had people say, "How come your kids aren't bowling junior league?" Like, well, if they want to, they will. Now they say, "Dad, why don't you make us bowl junior league?" That's what they're telling me now. But back then, you got to do what you want to do. You can't force people to do whatever they don't want. If you want to do it, come bowling. It's a great sport. They fell in love with it. So
yeah, absolutely. What's it like to work with them at the center now?
I'm thinking about what my dad was thinking. There's a lot of times I'm like, wow, I wonder what my dad thought. Because it's fun. It's nice. They have great ideas. I've been there a long time. I don't see things out of the box necessarily. They do. They have a fresh attitude. I've done a lot of different things. People that know me, Bob Greenfield and others, will call me a stubborn person. But I might be, but my kids are breaking me a little bit of some of my old habits. I'm very opinionated. So if you ask me a question, I will tell you the answer. And my oldest daughter, Fallon's trying to tell me not to do that. She'll say, Dad, I'll take care of the customer, Dad. You could go over there.
But that's great. I mean, at least you can admit it. But
it's nice. It's nice that they care. They care about the place. So that's very nice to see.
Sure, absolutely. That place in November of last year is where we, stumble upon this little 300 and 847. I love that "We Are Family" by Sister Sledge is playing in the background as you're finishing up here.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. What how big an accomplishment is that for you? Is 847 your best?
You know what? I believe it is. I believe it was 835 before that. I had a chance to shoot 869 and tie Mark Staslis for the high right hander in the house.
Oh.
So the next game, I had the front 9 the next game after this, 300. And I left a 10 pin, I think.
Yeah.
But when I shoot 300, my daughter's running the camera, so I point at my daughter for running the camera. But yeah, I really wanted to tie Mark Staslis because he's a good friend of mine, and I hate hearing him having that over me.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was nice. It felt good. It some nights feel good. Some nights everything works good. Timing's great, and especially bowling with my daughter on Tuesday. Well, with my daughter Emma, it's just fun with them there. My daughter Fallon filming me, and yeah, it's. I feel lucky that I bowl good. A lot of times you don't carry, so I think bowling is a lot of luck for me. I might have a little skill, but I get lucky. I definitely get lucky.
You have to bowl a set like that. There have been a lot of changes. Like we said, when you went pro, it was kind of a different time as we were getting into urethane. Since then, reactive bowling equipment has taken over. There are a lot of people trying it two-handed. What do you think of the changes in the game since you started, and maybe since you started working at the center?
It's interesting. Years ago, you told people you can't loft the ball. Now these two-handers, they all loft the ball. I mean, they throw the ball over the ball captain a lot of times. It's changed a little bit. I don't think anything's negative. I think more people bowling two-handed. Whatever, more people are bowling. What does it matter how you throw the ball? I mean, guys used to throw just no thumb. Yeah, it's just how it is. It's changed. When I was on tour, I think we went with 4 bowling balls. That's what you had. You had an LT-48, you had a plastic ball, a cup of Columbia, a white dot, a yellow dot, an LT, and maybe a Mineralite or a Manhattan Rubber, something really hard. And then, Brunswick came out with a couple more balls. AMF had the angle, then the gold angle, and the purple angle. And I remember Pete Weber both phenomenal with that purple angle. The bowling balls just kept coming out. Think about 1990, the resin balls came out, I think, 89 or 90, and that affected my game. I did not have an honor score in the 1990s. Wow. I didn't have a 300 or an 800 in the 19. I had to learn how to bowl with a resin ball. It did change. It changes the roll on the ball, and you had to adapt. And I might have been a little stubborn in trying to change, but it definitely changed. The pins got a little heavier. The pins went from 3.2 to 3.6. That helped a little bit, I think, because the pins are flying too much when the technology changed. So I don't think anything's been negative.
Yeah. What does the future hold for you in bowling, both in the business side and in the competition side?
Well, I hope to win another national title. That's my goal. I'm a little older now. I'm 58. Those don't happen for guys my age too often, so I still have that dream. I just want to keep bowling with my kids. We're talking the other day, Gus Yanaris and I think Greeny and a couple other guys were talking, Joe Olivo, about when are you going to be done? I'm going to bowl until I can't bowl anymore. Some guys are going to bowl once they can't bowl to the level they're at right now. I love bowling. I like bowling. I'm going to keep bowling as long as I can, as long as physically I can. I'm not going to be happy not shooting 600 probably, but I think I'll be happy that I'm bowling. Yeah. It's hard to say, but I want to keep winning. I want to win more with my kids. I think it's a blast winning with my kids. That's a fun time.
Yeah. And on the business end, the center, obviously, like we said, lives on.
Yeah.
The lanes are synthetic and relatively new. They're only 7 years old. Where do you go from here on the business side?
Well, maybe do a couple of improvements on the inside, redo the bathrooms or do some sidewall stuff, make it a little fresher, clean it up a little bit, maybe new seats eventually in the settee area. But hopefully, the kids will be working it. I plan, my dad is 97 and just retired 6 years ago. Oh, wow. He came into work until he was 91. So I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but, it's just it's been in our family for so long, and, we want to keep it as long as we can. Now, I hate to say it, but if someone comes in with $10 million, we're gone. I mean, there probably is a price eventually that it's a nice chunk of land in Brookfield. I mean, unfortunately, I want to keep it as long as we can. I plan on never getting rid of it, but you can never say never.
Sure.
So yeah, we don't plan on. My kids want to work it. Eventually, hopefully, I'll have grandkids that'll work it. I mean that it's nice. It's fun. Like my brothers and sisters worked it when they were younger. It's kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, absolutely. As you've probably seen on this show in past episodes, we ask our guests to go off the sheet, which is really the reason why you're here, is because Bob challenged you to be on the show and you accepted his challenge. So, skill level, out the window here. We're looking for people who are passionate about the sport of bowling and have a unique story to tell, which, let's face it, we all do. So, Hank Posnanski, who would you like to challenge to appear on a future episode of Bowling with the Fef?
I would say Gus Yanaris. The Greek god, as they call him, Gigi, they call him on tour, or Omar. P. Weber calls him Omar.
Yeah.
But he's got some great stories to tell. Very passionate. You have to put on a wristband to give him a high five when you're bowling with him. He comes back with so much force, and he's so excited. He is amazing. We joke about it at one tournament. I tried being like Gus. Come on, buddy. All right, good shot. I was exhausted. I don't know how he's got so much energy for bowling. He's so passionate about it. So he would be great. He'd be very good on this.
Yeah.
He might need 2 hours, but
Well, that's the beauty of internet broadcasting is, there's no time limit,
Right. Yeah.
As long as you got power and a decent connection, you can go on and on. So, Gus, if you're watching, it would be a pleasure to have you on the show. If you're interested, reach out to me. You can DM me on Facebook or email me at bowlingwiththefef@yahoo.com. Hank, it has been an absolute pleasure. Reliving your bowling story and talking about the history of Bluemound Bowl, and continued success to you in both business and on the lanes.
Great. Thanks, Fef. Thanks for having me. Greeny, thanks for nominating me. I did get in the Hall of Fame before you, Bob.
Yes, you did.
And Fef knows that now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I won't forget it. I'll remind him.
Fef.
Thank you. There he goes. Another great conversation with Hank Posnanski Jr., the proprietor and host of Bluemound Bowl in Brookfield, Wisconsin. Our next live stream is coming up on Wednesday, May 5th, a little bit later this time, 7 p.m. Central. We're actually going to have another proprietor on. Brent Prentice of Cedar Vale Lanes in Eagan, Minnesota is going to come on. We're going to talk about, of course, the PWBA Twin Cities Open, how that went for him at his center, and we're getting to his bowling story on our show. Again, Cinco de Mayo, Wednesday, May 5th, 7 p.m. Central. Other than that, we will see you then. Until then, be just and fear not, and we will see you hopefully next week on Bowling with the Fef.